What is good, YouTube? You guys asked. Here it is. And now we finally have the Terrormaton Inferno guide where we are using Fuqiu alongside her partner in crime, DokiDoki, in this essentially 100% win rate team. Now, a lot of people always ask, what if you don't have DokiDoki? What can I use? So it's going to pretty much come down to what content you're doing. For example, in Aurora, a healer is a good substitute. For Terrormaton, however, you can bring another healer like Red Chiaki. She's amazing here as well. Don't sleep on her. She is super good with Origami Guardian, reducing the damage taken. She's a fine substitute as well if you can max her S1 and S3. Another really good option is going to be, if I can find her, it's going to be Mia, because she kind of does the same thing as DokiDoki in this comp, where she's reducing your entire team's CDs, also the shell CDs, which is insane. And another good option, which has been tested by some of you guys, and you guys have been letting me know in the comments, Red Kazuo. She's also amazing. This was like the budget Lily before this combo came out, because she gives AoE speed. She also gives this reduced cooldown on Animus and Shell skill cooldown. And she also has a dispel on the boss and can also slow the boss, which is great. So yeah, all these characters are good substitutes. Now let's actually talk about, the builds. So this is my Fuqiu, guys. She's the star of the show. You're going to have her on 0 lattices. You don't need to lattice her. You just need to make sure that she is on Wellspring and Swift Rush. 12-12 is ideal, especially in this team. Because you're using things to reset skill cooldowns, being fast is good. And you're going to see another character which is usually slow is also going to be decently fast because of this strategy. So you run her on Wellspring, you run her on Swift Rush. I would run her on 12, but unlucky. I farmed this for almost like 12 days now, and I can't find a 3 Wellspring, 3 Swift Rush for my life, even like on a, non-Inferno piece that's dropping. So very unlucky there. But basically, you just stack health on her, max HP, because you want her to give the thickest shield as possible on her S3. This is going to be the majority of her sustain, the shield. Of course, your Moonlit Veil will be cycling your team very quickly, which is great. And the healing will mostly be overhealed. And then that is why you're going to be running her on Fortissimo. So Fortissimo will store this overhealing. You're going to notice in the fight, whenever, especially the DPS, which you're using, which is going to be Diting if you don't have Yelly, if they ever drop low and she takes her turn, she just insta-full heals them. It's super broken. Like, it's not even balanced. This is crazy, right? You're going to see what I'm talking about when you look at the run. But yeah, very, very good on her. If you guys don't have it, you can run Supernova. I'm not a big fan of it. I know some people run this on her. I think this is more overall healing, like more healing per second, healing per turn overall. But a lot of the times you're overhealing anyways when you're using shields, especially if you're using Artisan. So I don't really like it. And I really like storing up this healing with the shields when you're still, having max health. So you can actually use this to top up instantly. I think getting one shot is a lot more scarier, especially in Terrormaton, than just dying out to bleeding out to damage, right? So I like Fortissimo. Next, for the second support, you're gonna run Valerian, which people draw comparisons to, but they're not the same. You just need her S3 maxed. Don't ask me why I have level 2 and S1 and S2. This was when I this is like day 1, I think, and I was just trolling. But anyways, just have her S3 maxed. You're going to want to run her on Time Weave, and that is it. People are probably looking at this and be like, what the hell is this guy cooking? The reason is because you are just playing to reset skill cooldowns on Valerian here. And you're going to notice in the run, if you run her on Time Weave, if you pair her with DokiDoki or Red Mia or Red Kazuo, she's going to permanently sit in Hazy Dream. And the only turns that you don't have Hazy Dream available, you're going to be using your S2 to make usually your Diting or your Yelly or whatever DPS invincible. And they're the only ones at risk at dying. So pretty much she's protecting your DPS. You just run 3 HP percent modules. Literally, I have this dog water build and it's just god tier in this fight for some reason. So you can just run it on this. And I also highly recommend Gigabyte because since you're running this sort of spam S3, spam S2 build, you want her to cycle quickly. So because of that, I do have her on Gigabyte. Now that I think about it, maybe you do want to run Swift Rush, but honestly, I don't think you want to be too fast still. I think like 200 speed is like the sweet spot. The next unit we're going to look at is your Cachi the Guard. This guy is a beast everywhere. I bring this guy pretty much everywhere nowadays because he's insane. Basically, you just run him on a S3 max build. S2 doesn't really matter. I have this mostly for, I forget what it was. It was some Ethernet rally boss and some Anderson Geckos, but you don't need this. You only need S3. For your stats, you're just looking at 182% effect accuracy to make sure that you have the max chance to crit on your S3. So your S3 gives you 3-turn defense and 2-turn defense, 3-turn defense, 2-turn immunity. You want to be as fast as you can, whatever that means to you. You want to outspeed the main boss. You want to get your defense buff up before the main boss takes a turn. So because of that, you want him to be, I think it's at least 260. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's at least 260. I have him on Swift Rush Time Weave. You don't need him on Time Weave because you're going to notice, like, even if your Time Weave's proccing, especially on Cachi, like, your cooldowns will be resetting over and over anyways, but it is a very nice bonus to have because this allows you to run 1 extra defense percent right side piece, which will make your Artisan Shield even bigger, which will run him on. But Time Weave is very good if you can afford it. And then on your shell, you know, Artisan, super good. You're going to want to run at least 2 Artisans here. Next up, we have the DPS slot. So we're going to talk about Diting here. He is not the best DPS. The best DPS is Yeli by far, because eventually the boss's immunity will go down, or you'll eventually dispel it off with Yeli's S1 here because it has a chance to steal a buff. And because of that, what ends up happening is you can start landing this defense down and do a ton more damage. Diting's like okay, like you can land this vulnerable actually sometimes, which will make the runs faster, but for the most part, you know, he's kind of like the B tier DPS in this fight. But I'm still going to showcase him for you guys because, you know, I think if I just use Yeli every single run, it's just kind of not ideal, right, for you guys watching. So this is what I have him on. You're probably wondering, oh my god, he's on Fury Edge. Wow, this is an Inferno piece for the Inferno run. It's true, but you're going to see in the run, like literally if I was missing 12% crit rate and crit damage, it would not matter. I just have it on him because this is my preset build. Trust me, just don't run him on this. Like, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You just need Keen Eye Fury and you'll win. And you also want White Fang. Even if you don't have Fury Edge activated, please use a White Fang that is of Inferno grade, which means 3 matrices, because you need as many stats as you can. These triple matrix shells give you more stats, and you want more stats just because not only are you getting more damage and speed, which will make you obviously do more damage to the boss, but the tankiness always adds up in Terrormaton, right? Terrormaton does a lot of damage, so you don't want to underestimate it. And of course have good shell rolls. Mine are literally the lowest roll possible in every single slot, but it still works. But basically, yeah, you know, just build your DPS. I don't think I have to explain how to build DPS, right? You're just going max crit rate and just full damage, and you're good to go. Next up, we're going to be looking at DokiDoki. Now, the build you see on her, you can use exact same build on Red Chiaki, Red Kazuyo, and Red Mia. But basically, you don't need any lattices on her. I know I have lattices, so this is because I use her in PvP, but it literally does not matter, trust me. Just watch the run, you'll see what I'm talking about. This extra speed and damage is not going to change the run, or any run for that matter that uses this combo. But you just run her on Swift Rush. You know, I didn't want to run any secondary sets because, you know, I just wanted to show you can just do it with literally 12 Swift Rush. And all you need is tankiness on the right side so she doesn't die. That's all DokiDoki needs because she doesn't debuff. She is just a cleanser and a turn pusher. And you can do the same thing for your healers that you bring, Mia, Chiaki, or even Red Kazuyo. And you want her on Artisan. So you're going to see that I have 1 Artisan and 2 Artisans. And then I have my healer on Fuqiu, on Fortissimo, and my Valerian on Gigabytes. You might be wondering, isn't this team kind of at risk of dying, right? Valerian's not the best healer. Fuqiu's, you know, healing over time is good, but her burst healing isn't that great. Well, I'm going to show you the power of her Fortissimo, and I'm going to show you the power of what Fuqiu, Valerian, DokiDoki, or even if you run Fuqiu, Valerian, Mia, which will make your team even safer, ends up looking like. So I'll show you guys the run now. I'll commentate over it as well, and you can see how it actually turns out. So I'll show you guys the run right now. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory. Like I mentioned, you can sub out DokiDoki for Mia if you have her, and it'll work. And if you don't have Mia, even Red Kazuyo is going to be fine if she's all the way down here, because she can reduce your team's skill cooldowns. You're basically just playing to reset the cooldown of Valerian and Fuqiu just permanently and win the fight. Now basically the way that this works is you just hit the boss, you ignore the arm, and you will win because the arm's damage is going to be very negligible to this team here. Now there is a small chance that your Diting gets one-shot at the start if he gets targeted like over and over and over through the 2 cheat deaths that Valerian provides. But the chance of that happening is very low. I've only seen it happen like once out of 15-ish runs that I've done with this. But besides that, the run is very consistent. And you can see now we're starting the cycling with DokiDoki. She is reducing the cooldowns of my allies here. Now you can see like the huge shield from Fuqiu and Artisan is just crazy. And you're stacking that on top of the defense buff. So literally you're not taking any damage. And if you ever do, you have Hazy Dream running. And because Valerian's on Time Weave and DokiDoki's resetting her cooldowns, she almost always has Hazy Dream up. You can see that she literally uses it right away. And then we also have Fuqiu here, who will just be shielding our team and healing our team, and has Fortissimo to burst heal someone if they get low. And like I mentioned, if you don't have DokiDoki, Red Mia and Red Kazuya do the same thing. You can even try running Red Chiaki if you need more healing. Just keep in mind you won't have that cooldown reduction, which will probably make the runs less stable. And there you can see the Fortissimo value there. Just tops off Diting and gives him a half max health shield. And now he's pretty much unkillable. So usually at this point in the fight, when you're running other teams, you're pretty much just gonna die. But look at the damage my team's taking. Literally 0 damage. And you can kind of see why this is like not really a balanced combo, and then right away we go into Hazy Dream again. Like, there's just so many defensive tools that it is almost impossible to fail this run. I've literally only seen it fail once. I said 15 runs, but honestly it was like the most unlucky targeting I've ever seen in my life. This is essentially 100% win rate. Like, look at the boss is about to hit 5 stacks of his thing here, and we're literally ending the fight at full health, more than full health because we have shields, right? So, yeah, this is the combo: Fuqiu DokiDoki plus 3 SRs. Super broken, god tier combo, super Lily inbound. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next video.